But I at least listened to him this time, so the grammar was more decent. Excuse me while I die. Hey yo, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about writer things, parent things, and writer-parent things. And this week we're going to discuss the reason that I'm not currently a published author, though I used to be. Do keep in mind that all of my videos are based on my personal experiences and knowledge, and they are not always universal. Especially not this one, because, you know, personal journey and shiz. So let's get started. I have known two things since I was 5 years old, and that's that I wanted to get married and have kids, and I wanted to tell stories to entertain the masses, even if I wasn't quite sure how I was going to tell those stories yet. It was when I was 12 that I decided that I was going to tell those stories through novels. Now we move to 2011, when I'm 20 and pregnant. Very, very pregnant, 5.5 months pregnant. And yes, we just found out because you know what? Sometimes babies are rude and pop up negative on 3 pregnancy tests for months. But anyway, being from a huge family and being the oldest from said huge family, I knew that once baby got here, I wasn't going to have time to work on a career as an author. I wasn't going to have time to write for fun, or at least barely. So being the pragmatic bitch that I am, decided if I could not write and self-publish a book before baby got here, I wasn't going to be able to do it after baby was here. It was very important, I mean mega important to me that I proved this to myself at the time for reasons that I no longer remember, but I'm sure were very emotionally based. I decided to base my first book on a roleplay that I had going with a friend, which pretty much gave me an outline for the story already. And thus I began my journey looking into self-publishing, which, let me tell you, in 2011 there were not nearly as many resources, but that's a whole other thing. Moving on. So now we're at the part where I kind of did it. I wrote book 1. I had 2 critique partners, and I want to actually say I got a very good number of beta readers because I am really good at shamelessly asking people to read my stuff. However, this doesn't mean that I always listened to feedback, or at least not in the way that I probably should have, and I did not hire a professional editor because at the time, I did not actually realize editors freelanced. I thought I would have to go through a publishing company for that. And my husband was getting an English and creative writing degree, so I was like, that counts, doesn't it? But first off, no it doesn't. Secondly, it also still doesn't matter if I'm gonna argue with him over style versus grammar. But I digress. At least I did pay for custom cover art that my sister and I then formatted into a cover. And I remember that I actually got some really good reviews. However, the one constant criticism was the grammar and punctuation. And one review even, I still distinctly remember, said, I hope that this author hires an editor for her future novels because I would really like for her novels to improve. And I was like, well, probably point. And they still really enjoyed the story. So when? Question mark. Well, book 1 didn't actually crash and burn, so I thought I was onto something, and I decided to go ahead and rush out book 2, and I did at least listen to my husband more. But again, he's not a professional editor, and he definitely wasn't at the time. I love him, he's really good at what he knows how to do. Yeah, same process, similar results. The reviews were overwhelmingly positive, with just that whole pesky has typos and not bad grammar, but the grammar had things to be desired. But unfortunately, then baby got more active and needed a lot more of my time and attention, which I probably still could have pulled off writing, but baby number 2 made themselves known as well. And as many of you probably know, this is when I decided to take my hiatus from writing, which I just took a hiatus from my writing career. I was still writing in my spare time when I could. I would enter the New York City Midnight flash fiction and short story contest when I could, and I kept up with a character blog weekly, I want to say. So I was putting out a chapter or two a week, because at some point I decided to do 2 character blogs. A lot of the time though, keeping up with that character blog was actually super difficult. And I really tried. I pushed myself to my very limits and beyond them sometimes, because I was determined that if I didn't keep up with that character blog, I was not going to be able to be a professional author later in life. And I mean, I was supposed to be writing for fun at that time, because I had decided not to pursue professional writing until our youngest was in school. But you know, things don't always go how you plan. It's fucking hard to write with 1 toddler, let alone 3. When our youngest was about 3, I hit rock bottom. Or maybe I had been depressed before then and I just didn't know, because I was what one would call high functioning depressed. It's genuinely hard to remember. It's all a bit of a blur for me at that point. But what I do remember, I spoke about in my video on my mental health journey, which I will post here, I'm sure, so you can click on that if you'd like to go see the full story. But I'm just gonna summarize. The important facts here are that I hit rock bottom and I actually went through an identity crisis. My therapist agreed with me that that is in fact what I was going through. And so we would do certain exercises and I would write out lists with self-identifying words and things like that. What are my roles? What's this? What's that? And unanimously atop all of the list was the word writer. It was even above mom or wife or woman or anything. Literally, writer was my number 1 identifier for myself. So I had kind of already knew that somewhere, so I had been making plans to get back into writing and to make writing fun for me again. And my therapist was like, yes, do that. That's a great idea. I tentatively started looking into the world of self-publishing again. And surely by now there's more and better resources. If nothing else, I knew that publishing is one of those fields that changes and you gotta keep researching to keep up with it constantly. Well, I found Jenna Marassi's channel, and little did I know at the time, but that would actually change my life a lot. But I'm not gonna go into all of that. But what I want to focus on, because it's what I focused on at the time, was that Jenna was a sassy, successful, straightforward woman with sarcastic and crass humor. And people loved her, and she was succeeding. And she was succeeding as an author. And I'm like, yes, that's what I want to be. I mean, I'm most of that, except the successful author part, but I can work on that. And just seeing her excel in her field as herself was really what I needed at a time when I could barely remember who I was. And after binging her business and marketing videos especially, I realized that I needed to take a long, hard look at myself and my 2 novels. And I had to accept something. I want to preface this with, I did take a long time to think about it, and I picked up my novels and I reread them, and if they had been the best that I could have done at 20, I would have still been proud of them and they would probably still be up. But I could compare them to short stories and to other things that I wrote when I was 20, and it just wasn't anywhere near the same skill level. And that kind of hurt, because I had to accept that these novels that I published, that I put up, these novels that I had been holding as a symbol of my ability to be successful and to succeed and to actually write novels, they weren't representative of my writing skills when I was 20. They weren't representative of what I could do. I didn't actually want people to read them and for that to be their first exposure to my writing. I couldn't confidently say, yes, that's the best I could do at that age, which you can ask any of my friends. I will literally pull out short stories from like 10, 15 years ago and just throw them at them and be like, let's read this dialogue or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it's got purple prose up the ass, but the dialogue's funny. If I could have said they were my best, I would have been proud, but they weren't, so I wasn't. So I unpublished them. I did everything I could to erase their existence from the internet. And I know that somebody can still find them or find information on them, like my aunt recently loaned her paperback copies out to a friend. And I just remember looking at them and I'm like, oh, really supportive family. How I love you. Largely though, I'm probably not going to publish those books again or continue that series unless I take the story and redo a lot of it into something that I can actually be proud of and that I would love to see in stores and libraries everywhere. And I'm not gonna lie, unpublishing them made me feel like a complete and total failure for months. It made my identity crisis a little worse. Because as I said, they were a symbol of what I could do. They were a symbol that I could do it, that I would make it no matter what. And then I took that symbol away from myself. But they were rushed, and they were unfinished, and they were highly unprofessional. And you know what? I don't want that to be the symbol that I can do this. And well, here we are now. I don't really think in the same ways anymore. And now that our daughter had started pre-K last year, I took last year to start really looking into self-publication and to start my platform and to begin building something for myself. And right now, I work on the Silver Air and I slowly critique through my partner's chapters. If this migraine medication actually does what that I'm hoping it does and it keeps the good work up, then I'll be able to get even more work done than I have been getting. Fear me in my productivity. And a little bit of a reality check. I know this career is going to be slow going, at least to get started. It takes the average published author or self-published author 5 years to release their debut, and that's on the low end. And that's not even including, raising kids on top of that, or chronic pain flare-ups. So I know it's gonna be a while, but it's never too late. And I'm not gonna stop trying. I'm not gonna stop pursuing my dream. And I have a flash fiction called Till Pizza Do Us Part on my website available for everybody to read so that they can get an idea of my writing and they can see it and be like, this bitch does know how to write. And, maybe look forward to my books. And I do hope to put up more short stories or flash fictions while I am working on my books because they don't take nearly as much time. And I would like to have more examples up. So, hopefully everybody can look forward to that too. Now, in all honesty, I kind of pick on my younger self for my ego and for not listening when I should have. But part of the problem was that I was also very used to extremely opinionated people criticizing or giving me advice that was just plain, even now, no, just no. If you've seen my Critique Partners video, you know about the acid. But now I'm fucking kicking ass and I have amazing critique partners who genuinely care about my story and improving my writing and not just rewriting my story to fit their needs. And I know when to set that ego aside and listen, and when it's okay for my ego to be like, no, I know what I'm doing. This is fine. And just the support group that I have now is phenomenal, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. I mean, life is just a whole lot better than it was, and it feels a whole lot better than it was. And you know what? I've got yet another decade of research and experience under my belt to bring to my debut novel. Though keep in mind, it is still a debut novel, so Please be kind. I mean, some things only experience can help you improve on. And, you know, my first debut experience was really something educational. Alright, everybody, that's all I got for you this week. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm pretty exhausted today. So, have you published a book? Have you unpublished a book? What is the biggest lesson that you have learned? Just anything you want to share with me, leave in the comments down below. If you liked this video, maybe give it a like, comment, and thumbs up. I host live streams on Mondays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you would like to see a sample of my writing, you can check out my website at samanthallnasset.com. If you'd just like to stalk my social media, that's cool too, at samanthallnasset. I've got Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook. If you'd like to be alerted when my videos or my live streams go live, just ring-a-ding that bell. And yeah, that's everything. Sam out. Hope to see you soon.